Hello, welcome back to Design Elements and Principles. This is, I don't know, session 1B, it might be called. And I have some news. So thank goodness today I don't have to go through the whole kit and caboodle for Blackboard. If for some reason you're like, what is he talking about? Watch the video and you'll get the whole Blackboard rundown. As I say, I post the videos. So session 1, it is video lecture session 1A. That's from Tuesday. Now, if all of you have logged on, you may have noticed I changed something, and I changed it this morning. I had an idea, and I was like, oh, we're meeting Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm going to separate out the assignments to being some are due on Tuesday, some are due on Thursday. And then that way we're not just bunching everything up, and I'm not saying like, no matter what, everything is due on Tuesday. So that will spread things out. And I'm going to do this for the rest of the semester, and I'm going to do the same assignments for the most part. Will always be Tuesday. The same assignments will always be due Thursday. And then you just roll with it then. Like I will talk about Tuesday's assignments on Tuesday. I'll talk about Thursday assignments on Thursday, and then they're due the following week on that. So you always have like a full week and not feel like, oh, he told us on Thursday and then it's due on Tuesday, blah, 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 blah. So I hope that all makes sense. And that way I can cover more, and that way I can talk more about the design and show you more skills and what to fix. And if you're having trouble, you can ask me more questions. I think it's gonna be better for all of us than me trying to jam in everything in one day and then having the next day kind of just be talking about stuff. So cool. What should we talk about first? We're in session 1. Make sure you get your attendance in. If you don't do that, I will mark you absent tomorrow. You may be dropped from the course immediately. That's how it works. So if you don't get this in and you get dropped, I don't know if I'll let you back in. It's a simple assignment. And it's really structured around getting the college what they need. Less about me, more about the college and their policies. So make sure you do that. Again, this is the super quick quiz. Use the internet, whatever means possible. It should only take you 5 minutes. What is an ascender in typography? Well, I know what it is, but if I just kind of copy, oh, is this turned on? Hold on. I don't know if I copied. If I copy, so there it says down there, copy, paste, hit return, and it's a part of a lowercase letter that extends upward above the main copy. Upwards. That extends upwards. There you go. Boom. Internet told me what it was. Took me a minute. Answer these. These are all questions based on graphic design. And yeah, you should just be familiar with them. Then you kind of like heard the word or you read it once. If you take any other of my classes, I run the same questions for the attendance over all my classes. So eventually you will have these questions a few times throughout your career here. I may switch them up eventually, but super easy. Video lecture session 1A, that was from Tuesday. That's the entire lecture. It is uploaded. It's a link to YouTube, so you can watch it in better ways than through Blackboard Collaborate, which is always a little bit of a problem. So this way, yeah, you have more access. You don't have to log in necessarily to Blackboard. I post all my videos to the same playlist as well for this class. So if you're so inclined to like subscribe to the playlist, then you'll just know where they are instead of like going to Blackboard, opening a link, whatever. You do whatever you want. The line lecture that we went over last week is here for you to peruse if you so care to check things out again. Mid-session review. Thank you. People have been using it. I've been getting back to you really quick. People are like, oh, this looks great. Just move this, adjust this, check this. Super simple stuff. So great work so far. Thanks for getting things in. All right, the Tuesday assignments. These are the 2 assignments I talked about the most on Tuesday. I'm going to do a quick refresher on these, just like 5 minutes a piece, maybe not even. 5 minutes on one, 10 on the other. And then I'm going to go into the new stuff and then really talk about the new stuff a little bit more in depth. The happy part is these lectures now should only be fully an hour at the most from here on out. So it'll be like an hour hanging out with me on Tuesdays and an hour hanging out with me on Thursdays. Some days it may go longer. Don't put your work schedule and be like, I have to work at 10. That's your fault. And then you just watch the video later though. So, but yeah, so I'm going to split things up and let's talk about this. So for the textbook assignment, just so everybody knows, textbook, I didn't get a textbook. It's in the assignment. So if I hit view instructions, here's the portion I want you to read. And it is on form storming. Form storming is about brainstorming. There are 1,000 different words around the term for like, how do you brainstorm, come up with ideas, stuff like that. This is what this is about. And it's a good starting point for the course in general, because that's what this is about. All those projects you're going to work on, where I have like the line project, not the research, those get into like coming up with creative solutions for a problem. And this is a good way to start thinking about that. How do you brainstorm? How do you think about in being more creative? How do you set it up? Just try to copy this template. It is the professional way to set things up in a school, or even if you're writing a letter to somebody. You are graphic designers and everything you do should look amazing. Like that's what you do. You visually create stuff for other people to look at that should look amazing no matter what it is. I do this. I hem and haw over anything, basically except for an email, which it like auto adjusts. But if I have to do a letter, I make sure my letter is like, oh, the type looks good and the spacing is perfect and I don't have like weird things. I use all my graphic design knowledge, even in writing a letter, because why else? Why wouldn't you? So this is kind of the setup it should be, where you have your name, the instructor name, everything's double spaced. The title is centered, but then the type isn't. This is left align, it's called. We'll talk about this more as we develop our graphic design skills. Maybe some of you are in typography, you'll learn it, but I try to integrate this in. So do a nice looking piece. You can do this in Word, you know, or Google Docs. Here we go. MATC. I'm going to go to Docs, just a blank document, and it just starts out. And then so if you look at mine, my name is, and actually you could be so inclined as I think you could copy and paste this out. And it should structure it. Let's try that. Copy, paste. It's not perfect, but it's got some of the setup for me. So if I go into like, let's do Times New Roman, 12 point. I'm just going to type in 12. All right. It's already double spaced. That's this line and spacing, double. Well, that's too much. Oh, it's adding a weird space. I got to clear the formatting. Oh, it added spaces. Don't copy and paste mine in. So this is what happened. This is a graphic design thing you should know about. It put returns in for the line spacing instead of it being a full paragraph. But beyond that, all you need to do is pick a nice font, Times New Roman, make it 12 point. This is all right. You have your name, instructor name here, then the title. That's just like, what's the chapter name? That can be centered. And so we do this here. This is how you center it. And all these are left align. That's correct. It's align, or what do they call it? Align left align. And then we tab these in where the paragraphs are, and then you don't need the additional notes. So it's all basic stuff, and I hope everybody has typed in some sort of Word document in the past. Like I said, Google Docs is free with your MATC account. Just use that. If you happen to have Microsoft Word or something like that, I don't know what they call it now, you can use that. But make sure it looks nice, and then you type up your information. Again, as we talk about things, use of AI, I've added a use of AI into the program here. And it's basically, you can use it when we say you can use it, but don't use it for final work. For the form storming, I want to know what you got out of it, not what the computer surmised that it got out of it. Tell me what you thought was interesting. Easy, that is easy as that. What did you like out of it? And you don't have like, I'm not looking for like, oh, I read every exact word. Like, look at it, like review the book and then give me a review of the book. So that's that one. The research. One, so we're talking about line, and we want a graphic design examples that show a lot of line, that use line as some form of expression or some sort of design. The design element of line is really front and center as the piece. So I'm looking for that line. And I may bounce back to you. If I look at it, I see it, I may be like, I know it's like example 3. Why do you think this one is in here for line? You know, and then you have to look at it right back. So I do look at every piece and I will write back and be like, I don't actually see any. I've had assignments where there's no line involved, and I had to write back and be like, I don't see any line in this. So line, and you can go back and look at my lecture and you'll see some examples, but don't use my examples. Again, how do you do, if we are starting this, you can use Google Slides, and I have some examples, but we can just use Google Slides. It's part of the MATC account. You can use one of their awesome pre-made presentations. In the beginning, later on, we'll have you not be using these. Oh, I didn't know I had those. Just meaning like we're going to use regular programs. So feel free. But, you know, I think this is the one I started on in my example, where I was like putting in the examples. How do you get them? How do you put them in? There's a couple ways. So 1960s book covers. And I'm going to go to images in my Google search. Some people, you can search Pinterest as well. If you have a Pinterest account, that's a pretty good one to go off of. Look at this one. I don't even want to go any further, but I'm going to go to tools, size, and large. You want a large image. The reason being is you don't want it to be fuzzy when you place it in. So one thing I'd go off of is when you click on the image in the Google search, this is a cute one too, is what you want to see is like when I go over this box here, it tells me how big this is. You want something that either one of these numbers is 1,000. And that's the pixel size. And that's going to be a good size for using for general use for assignments. If one of these, if the numbers are both lower than 1,000, look for a better image to use that is higher res. Resolution is the amount of pixels per inch. And the higher that number, the bigger you can make the image and the clearer it will look. So it's called a raster image. And you can get the image one of two ways. You can either copy, and I right-clicked, and it gives me this information. So you can copy image, and that just kind of stays in the system. And then you can go like here. Let me just clear out some of these. And then you can just paste. And it puts it right in. Or if you want, you can right click and you can save image as, and that will save it to your computer somewhere. You could call this like line book. If you need it, you know, if you're like, if you wanted to work that way, you put line book and then you hit save. Sometimes you'll get an image and it won't place into your document. And that may be because it's CMYK, or it is a style of image that the computer, that the program won't let you place. Some of those AVIF might be a problem. There's WebEP. something like that, those might be a little problem. You can open those in Photoshop and then save them out. It's another step. So let's see if I have a web app from last time. All JPEGs. Okay, I have one. So I'm just going to open this. So this WebP, these won't place good into an image. So it's an image, but it's a web-based image. So what I would do is I'd open Photoshop and then open that image. So I'm just going to right click on the image and open with Photoshop, which isn't showing. Other. And then I'm just going to convert it. Now you're going to have so much power in design because you can convert anything you need to do. You can do it with these 3 programs. This is a WebP. Well, you know what? I want a JPEG. So I'm going to go to File, Export, Export As, and I'm going to choose JPEG. And then I'm going to export it. I'm just going to do it to desktop and export. And now I know it'll work. It's a JPEG. I converted that image into a style image that I need. So you might run into that problem if you, with the images. You're like, I have the image, it won't place. It might not be able to place that image. And sometimes the computer will tell you, like, I can't place that. Now, the other one we talked about is making sure the images look good. This one has junk all the way around it. So I'm going to crop it. I'm going to use this tool right here. It says crop image. And that quote unquote cuts off the dirt, the bad part of the image and will leave the rest. But it does it in what we call is a non-destructive way. So I could always go back and uncrop it and get the parts that I cropped off back. So it's non-destructive. And as you can see, I'm trying very hard to not squish my image. So there we are. So that's this. So I have my image. Now the other one is always scale from the corners to make it smaller. Because in this program, when you scale from the corner, it can. If you hold down Shift, it'll also constrain it. In my work, in my life, I am just used to always holding down Shift to make sure that I'm not squishing the image. So what I mean is, like, say you have an image here and you're like, oh, I want it to come down to this line. You don't pull it and stretch it downward, because those circles now just became ovals. We don't do that. If we want it to come down to that line, we grab the corner, we hold down Shift, and we pull it to come down to that line, which makes it wider, but it keeps the artwork correct. And I will write back to you on those as well and be like, hey, this one looks like the image is squished. I call it squishing or squashing the images. Like, there's no reason to do it. You just pull from a corner and make the whole image bigger. And then you may like, well, then it changes everything. Well, yeah, then you just slightly adjust everything as you go down. Let's see, album covers. Let's find one. Oh, look at those lines up there. Those are some lines. I may just go with that for speed. Oh, no. Look at this goofy one. So this is only 500 by 499. And look how mushy it looks. So I'm not going to use that. Pass. It's blurry. I want a high res or higher res image. Go over it. This should be good. This is good and groovy. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to copy image. And I'm going to paste it in. And then I'm going to resize it, but I'm going to grab the corner and I'm going to hold down Shift. So I get into the realm of holding down Shift no matter what, because in Illustrator and InDesign, which you'll be using, you always have to hold down Shift to constrain it. So maybe just getting that habit. And then I'm gonna crop. I don't like this little part that's sticking off the album cover. How do I zoom in with this? See that little extra? Let's get rid of that. We don't need to see that. I'm gonna crop it off. And there we go. Perfect. What do I have left? Movie poster. Quickly. Lines in the back of this one. Oh, too small. These are below 1,000. What about this? Those are shapes. I can do this weird one with the lines here. All right, so I'm going to right click. I'm going to copy image, and then I'm going to paste. I'm going to grab the corner. I'm going to reduce it from the corner. And then now, as you can see, I'm just naturally lining the images and stuff up with what's already on this document. But I want you to make sure when you are working that you are lining up, and you can pull guides to make sure like everything from the top is lined up and the bottom is lined up. And then this one in the middle, you can move it out and then kind of like move it back and get it to, you can see these blue brackets that show up in between down here that will tell you like this is perfectly centered. I'll do it again and look for those blue brackets. See those blue brackets there? And then you let go. So I know this spacing and this spacing is equal. And then I know this and this is equal. And they're all the same height. And they all line up beautifully. And then you can start adding your text. So let's add a text. And I call it book cover. And I'm going to highlight it. And I'm going to change the color of the text, which you do over here. And I'm going to do it. I got a nice dark background. I'm going to do it like this kind of yellow. And I'm going to pick let's do a bold font, impact. And I can make it bigger. And then I'm going to do all those same things where I'm going to grab this and I'm going to move it and I'm going to get it aligned. Now I'm going to zoom in a lot here. A lot is all I can do with this. Some things to not do. One is never have the text, touching the image. So like that's not lined up. Maybe in the past you thought like, oh, we want it really tight, really close to that. No. This text box has a nice gap in it. So I'm just using that gap. Now the other thing, let's make it that size, is if you look down, if I come down, you can see like it's not perfectly aligned with the edge. So then I have to make a note to myself. Do I want all of them to have this exact same space, or do I want it, you can center it underneath, but then it's going to be perfectly centered. If you want it left aligned, then do you want it a little gap there? Or if I use the arrow key, I could nudge it over so that it's lined up perfectly with the edge of each one. So you kind of like, and I'm just going to copy and paste this. And you do this exact same with every one. So I want it exactly aligned. I can pull a guide. I grab that ruler and I pull it over. And I make sure it's book cover and this is album. And as we can see, so it's the spacing is all perfect and correct. And I'm going to copy and paste this one more time. Have it align up there. Hold shift, pull it across. Pull my guide. Oop, that was a bad, but I can see the distance. And I'm just using the arrow key to nudge. The arrow key on your keyboard is pretty amazing. And then this is a movie poster. Make sure you spell things right. Make sure if something is capitalized in one section, it's capitalized in all. So like it's book cover, book and cover are capitalized, album cover, they're both capitalized, movie poster, both capitalized. So double check that. So there you go. It's like another rundown on how to create these. And as of now, we're just using Google Slides, and you can use any sort of presentation you want. And then to get this to me, all you do is you name it correctly. That's not the correct name. But then you go to File, Download, and you download a PDF. And I want a PDF. So if I download the PDF from this one, it's straightforward. It downloads. I open it up, and there is my project. I show how to work on this in the first video as well. So if you have other questions, check out video 1. That's how we take care of that. So that's Tuesday's assignments. Let's talk about Thursday's assignments. That's today. So these are due next week, Thursday. First one, design practice. These assignments are going to help you start using both Adobe Illustrator and Adobe InDesign. They're very simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to step you through the process. So in the first lesson today, you're going to download a Illustrator file with images and text, and all you're going to do is put things where they need to be. It's just about opening the program, looking at a document, seeing layers, and putting things where they need to be. So I'm going to go to View Instructions, and there's a link down here. David Carson, graphic designer, known for the grunge movement, very artistic, expressive graphic designer, super great work. He's kind of like a legend because he did kind of invent this whole style of graphic design. So then what we do is I downloaded it. There's the little download button there. Sometimes you may need to log into your MATC account because it is stored at an MATC account. So sometimes when you click on that, it'll be like log in. Then I'm going to go to my downloads, and I have too many downloads, but it's David Carson zip. Now, if you have a Mac, you double click. If you are working on a PC, you right click and hit extract all. I'm going to double click. It's going to open up the David Carson folder. I'm going to open that up. And you are going to get davidcarson.ai. That's the Illustrator file. And then you're going to have these images in the links folder. The links are images that are based inside this AI file. Let's open it up. And I just need to double click on it. And it's going to open up right in the Illustrator. Again, if you are working only at home, you do need Adobe Illustrator and Adobe InDesign in order to complete the class. Now, what we have here, and this is Adobe Illustrator. The quick rundown and some of the things and the way I would like you to maybe set it up for the beginning. If you're in Illustrator and you've taken it and you know it and you love it and you have a setup that's great, use it. But I've used this setup as a professional. They have changed things over the years, and it's made things far easier. Let's talk about some things. Up at the top is the content bar, and this gives you a way to adjust things, and it's always at the top. You go under Window or Control. I always call it Content. I feel like it used to be Content. Now they call it Control. They change the name sometimes. So it's Control. So if that goes away, if it's missing, if you're like, mine doesn't look like him, go to Window and Control. And all that does is gives you a secondary area to make adjustments to design elements within a piece. On the far left side, these are your tools. And right now, we're only going to be using one tool, this tool, the Direct Select tool, and that allows you to click and move. I can click on something and move it. click on something and move it, click on something, and I can resize. But we're not even going to be resizing today. So you don't even have to worry about that. You're going to be using one tool, maybe two, maybe zooming in a bit. You'll be zooming in as well. So select and zoom in. Now, you may not have any panels. These are panels on this side of your dock. Yours may look something, you know, when you open it, it looks like this. Well, I would like you to go to Window and Layers and make sure that Layers is at least showing. And you can grab the top of the layers and move it over until you see blue arrive. And when you let go, it'll put layers there. Here's one other thing about the tools. Your tools may look like this where they're doubled up. But if you are using a laptop and you're pressed for screen size, make sure you have it be in a single row. All right. It gives you more screen to work with, so you're not hunched over and killing your back and trying to see stuff. I'll talk. Oh, and those are the links. So layers. The way to think about layers is layers are pieces of glass into which a design element or elements are placed. And the order of the glass is the height. So if it's low in order, this is at the bottom layer. Then this is the next upper, 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 up. So you keep stacking things, pieces of glass on top of each other. Or think of it if you did a collage, like this is the board, then this is a colored piece of paper, then this is some pictures, and this is some cutout text. Like each one is a layer of glass. Now the other item I want you to have open on the right side is the properties panel. And this is the only panel you really need to have open anymore until you become advanced Illustrator, and then you will customize this to look the way you want it to look. But 90% of the time I work, and mine is layers, I have links, I have a libraries now. That's something new that you won't learn right now. And then properties. So mine, every day I work like this because I have layers are always open and visible, and properties are always here, and you'll be doing stuff in the properties eventually. So what do I do for this assignment? Well, in the background, if I zoom in, you'll see a very fuzzy image of a design for David Carson. If I zoom out, you'll see all the parts and pieces littered around the design. All I want you to do is start to move them and put them back where they should be. And you're going to use a couple tools. You're going to watch out for items, and they're all on their proper layers, so you can move them around. You don't have to copy. You don't have to paste. You don't have to change a single size. In fact, don't, because everything is sized correctly. And you're going to zoom in to what's comfortable, and you're going to start placing things. And I would almost go, I'd first place the text, and I'm just going to go and I'm going to put it in there, and I'm going to line it up as perfect as I can. And then I'm going to grab the text and just align it perfect as I can. And now some things may make it like sticky. Like I want to move it up, but it jumps. See how mine's jumping? Well, I should be able to use the arrow key, and the arrow key will let me just nudge it. The arrow key is quite amazing. And that's the 4 arrow keys on your keyboard. Now to move around, like you can move these sliders, you know, like up, down. But the faster way is to hit the space bar on your keyboard, and it puts out a hand. And then when I click and pull, it moves the, see how it's like grabbing it? And then you can move things around and be like, I need to move this to there. I can see them both. And then when I let go of the space bar, it goes right back to the select tool. And I can move David into position. And then I'm going to hit the space bar and I'm going to move up because I want to get these images into position. And I'm just going to click and I'm click, drag, and bring them up. Click, drag, bring it up. And then, oh, I got to move this over. Click, drag, bring it up. Now I'm going to select all three of these images. I'm going to really far away. I'm going to click and drag, and you can see there might be a little gray box happening, and I want all three of these selected. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure they're all perfectly aligned with each other. So I'm going to make sure they're all perfectly aligned with their bottom. See how that line is at the bottom, where this is a line and it says bottom. I'm just going to click that, and it's just going to make sure. Then I want to make sure that the space in between them is exact. So I'm going to go to this green, the three dots, and I'm going to distribute spacing. And all you have to do is click on this one. This is for things that are stacked in a column, and this is for in a row. And I'm just going to click in a row. Boom. It will shift and move everything for you mathematically exactly. You don't have to think. This could be, I'll even show you it move. So I'm going to move this one over like this. This is how sloppy you can have. As long as this end one is correct and this one is correct, the middle one, when I grab all three and I go to three dots and I hit distribute spacing, boom, it just moves that perfectly in the middle. Can't get any more exact than that. Now I'm going to zoom out. And I'm going to put in the white bar. I'm going to grab, I'm going to use that space bar. I'm going to grab and move. And I'm going to put in the white bar. And I'm going to like zoom in then. You can zoom in and check, like, is it perfectly? I want it perfectly on that magenta line on the margin. Zoom back out. Command or Control 0 will go to fit the page. That's how you can see everything. Then I'll bring in this piece, that other white box. And then the last one you want to place, the very last one, don't do this one first because it'll cover up all your work, is the background. And that one just gets placed right on there. And there we go. There you have your first little design. Now, with that said, let me open up. It's how to save it and give it to me. And I believe it is just saving the Illustrator file. Oh, a PDF. So I want a PDF. I thought I wanted both. All right, so this is just simple. So it's just a PDF. So what I do is you want to save this for your file so you have it. You may, in case I tell you like, oh, you should adjust this or change that, and you want to turn it in again. But then you go to File, Export, Export As, and then I'm going to call it JSKAJA. _ David Carson, and then I want to make sure my format is changed to a PDF. I don't have to change it up here. Don't change it up here and think it'll change the format. You actually have to change the format here. And then so it's Adobe PDF. It's going to save. I'm actually going to do it to my desktop so I know where it is. So know where you're saving stuff. If you're even smarter, you'll create a folder for yourself and have all your 103 information go into a folder. And then I'm going to export. And then I'm just not going to leave it be. I want to make sure I'm clicked on smallest file size. I want to make sure that this is checked, view PDF after saving. And for marks and bleeds, that nothing is selected. And this is all written out as well right here. So you make sure you do it. And then I'm going to export the PDF. And what it's going to do, it's going to open it up for me right away. And I can check it. And then this is the high res, or high enough res. And I'm going to look and like, is everything centered? And this is the point. Before you turn it in, if you look at this and you see something's wrong, then you go back and you fix it. Or you send it to me and say, why is this wrong? And I'll write back to you and be like, this is why it's wrong. And then you can upload this to the assignment. So all it is a quick practice in Illustrator to get you comfortable to start to use it. We will baby step you through using some Illustrator in this class. Everybody can do it, even if you've never touched Illustrator. It's just moving things around in a different format. All right. Let's talk about the graphic design project. All right. This is where we develop our own line ideas. All right. You are going to download a very specific Illustrator document. Within that document, there are going to be 6 boxes into which you are going to draw lines to illustrate these 6 of these emotions: happy, sad, tired, furious, excited, dangerous, bored, angry, nervous, scary, mad, or joyful. Any of those, 6 of them, your choice. Here is the key point. All right. No images, only line. I'll go through this. So like no points, no shapes, no colors, no images. No images. I have to say that like 50 times because what everybody does is immediately draws a happy face, draws a sad face. And I'm like, no, those are faces. I just want lines. But don't worry, my friends. I'll go over this in detail with you. And then you'll be uploading your submission. Here is the document. So you just go to the 3 dots. I'm going to download. All right. I'm going to go to my downloads and open it. And it's the Element 01. And here you go. This is the initial layout. What I have done is I supplied some just general examples, an idea, and it's indicated in red. And I do want you to turn that off. The red is just examples only, and it states that in the assignment when you read the instructions fully. It's like, open the provided document, review the layers panel. You'll be using your artwork here and text box layers. These are green. So these are your layer, text boxes and your artwork here. All the other ones can stay locked. You don't have to worry about them. And then for the red one, just turn off the eyeball. All right. Now for the text, it may come up goofy, meaning your computer may not have that font. Don't worry about it. You can pick another one, whatever you want. But I want you to retype in instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want you to retype in the emotion that you are picking for that area. Scary, mad, joyful. So I'm going to do scary, and I'm going to redo it. So what I would do, text box 1, all you need to do is click on the T, just like any other program. How do you start typing in most other programs? Slides, you click on the T, and then you can select that text, and I'm going to write scary. All right, now I'm going to click on your artwork here box. I want to make sure I'm not doing my drawing in the text boxes, but I'm doing my drawing in your artwork here. Now you may say, how do I come up with such a line that is scary? The brush tool. The brush tool, and you just keep it black. The brush tool just allows you to draw however you want. I have, and the people here in the studio have a great advantage, as we can use a stylus, a special drawing tool, in order to work better and more efficiently and have more fun. So when I say scary, what would be scary? Some scary lines, like, is this getting into, oh, I got to change one thing. Beep, beep, beep. I don't know why it's doing this. 1 second. All right, scary. So I'm gonna be on the brush, and I'm like, like what might scary be is like, like, and the cool thing is I have a mask. So if you start outside the box, it won't show up, but it's like, like jagged, or if those are too straight, you can undo those and like, like make them like jaggedy or something. And it's just lines, like what are scary lines to you? And that's what it's about. And you can change some effects over here. So if you double click on the brush, you can get some things to change. Or if you're so inclined to go like crazy, you can. There are some other brushes. If you go to brushes here, I always just kind of stay with basic, but there's like some drawing ones that maybe like, so like there's like one good one there. That actually turned out pretty good. So, and that's under brushes. So you can kind of dig around a bit. You don't have to dig around a lot, but like say that's my slasher scary lines. And then what about happy? So I'm gonna lock that one. I'm gonna go up to my text boxes. I'm gonna hold down the space bar, move to the second one. I'm on text boxes, and I'm just gonna retype in here. I'm gonna type on happy. Now for happy, for my brush, I just want a normal brush. So if I go to window, because I don't want that, I want to change, make sure the brush is just plain, basic. And then like happy is like, to me, is gonna be like really curvy and smooth and fun. So I'm gonna be like, ooh, let's do this. Oh, and it kept the line, but I can reselect that line and change it here to basic, or like, and then I can do stuff like if I want it like, because it's a happy line, I can make it thick. And then if I click on the stroke, I can make rounded edges. So like there's my happy wormy dealy. And it's a line because it's not closed in. Remember what I talked about in that first assignment or the first lecture is like, as soon as you close in on yourself, what happens? It becomes a, oh, and I just did what I said not to do. X, edit, paste in place. No, your artwork here, edit. There we go. I just did what I said. It might be better for you to pick your words, type in all your words, and then do your artwork later, because I just already messed up because I get so excited about this. And I want you to not be nervous. What would nervous lines be? So let's do some like, oh, I know. You know what? Let's see if it, what nervous reminds me of? Like a Charlie Brown, like his mouth when he's nervous. So I'm gonna make sure I'm on your artwork here, and like, if you double click on the brush, there's this fidelity, and if you move it to smooth, it'll be like, it will kind of be slow, and if you draw like really kind of wonky, it will smooth it out for you. Why does it keep defaulting to this? Let's get rid of that. Let's double click here. Let's make sure it's on this. All right. And then, so now like it's all, I'm trying to be really jaggedy. And because I have that smooth thing turned on, it'll go and smooth it all out. And it'll continue to change it to what I don't want. But we just go and we go to the select tool, we select that line, and we change it out. Now, if I change that brush to accurate and hit OK, and then I'm a brush, and then if I do that same like really jaggedy, it'll keep it really jaggedy. I really messed myself up by changing that brush. So that's some things you can play with the brush to make it, however you may want it. And you can have some fun with it. So you can see like this smoothed it out a lot, and this keeps it really, janky. And then like, that's what I want. So it's like thinking that like for nervous, it's that Charlie Brown, like look on his face when it's like, it's just like, that's what I feel like. And again, it's just doing that brush thing, but I'll change it. And then I want it like kind of like this. And there's my nervous line. And it just play around. Oh, and then another thing you can do is in the stroke, if I click on that word stroke, you can change like the rounded edges. I'll try to zoom in more. So we're going to grab this. And if I click on that, like I can have boxy edges, I can rounded edges, I can smooth out curves, I can keep them angled. You can even change the type of line. So like it goes from thin to thick to thin. See that? There's like a ton of things to play with to make it different. Like there's thick to thin to thick to thin, dig around, play around, and look at everything that is evolved with just the brush and the stroke. And your job is to come up with not come up with, but you're going to design 6 line compositions, playing with all sorts of things where I showed you can play with the brush settings, like all this up here. This is another area to look at how you can change your brush settings. I can change that, and I can go from basic to one of the other ones, or there's libraries, like you can open up more, all sorts of fun stuff that you can do and change in how you change the brush itself and play around. Look at that weird one. Like what does it do? Like how does it interact with itself to make a nervous line? So that is what you need to do for next week. And then you're just going to save it, and then you're going to export it as well. This one has a peer review, as does the research project. The peer review is I want you to look at 2 other students' work and make a comment, and it does count toward your participation in your grade. So again, this is your document. You'd want to save one for your own, and then go to File, Export, and this would be the turn-in, Export as, PDF, your name. Yeah, I'm just saving it to my desktop for now. PDF, export, smallest file size, view PDF after saving, making sure nothing's turned on here, export PDF, and there's your assignment. Any questions about the assignments? Anything we talked about today? All right. Well then, that wraps up today's lecture. Again, as I said, I've now separated things out. There's Tuesday assignments are due on Tuesday. Thursday assignments are due on Thursday. Make sure you get your attendance in. If you don't have that in by tonight, you'll be kind of absent and possibly dropped from the class. And yeah, dig on in, have some fun. Reach out to me if you have questions, comments, or concerns. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And enjoy tomorrow. All right, take care. Thanks. And I'll talk to you again on Tuesday if you don't reach out to me on the discussion boards or however earlier. All right, bye-bye.